O'Hanrahan Street is?
Well, I couldn't give it a truth. I don't know where O'Hanrahan Street is.
You're a local man?
I'm a local in town here, but I wouldn't be able to tell you where that is. Not by that name.
Well,
anyway.
now, would you know it by the name of Henrietta Street?
Henrietta Street, yes.
Well, that is, in fact, according to this list here, that is O'Hanrahan Street.
Oh, it is O'Hanrahan Street, yes.
But you call it Henrietta Street?
Henrietta Street, we call it. Yeah, that's true now.
Wexford Town, October 1971. Nearly 50 years after the Patriotic Council of the day renamed a large number of the streets. Today, the local people still use the old names and things are very confusing.
Do you know where James Connolly Street is?
No, do you?
I don't know any.
Well, now, do you know where William Street is?
Oh yes, William Street is on that way.
Up this way?
Yeah.
But did you know that William Street is Connolly Street? Did you know that?
No, I did not know.
Right,
There's so many changes now.
And it's been Connolly Street for over 30 years.
Oh, yes.
That's a fact.
Yes.
In this town.
Not uncommonly, a visitor to the Faith in Wexford wants to know how to get to the quays, according to Philip Malloy of the People newspaper. The helpful passer-by will probably send him on his way through Castle Hill Street, Barrack Street and Lower King Street. Going along, he will probably check his progress by looking at the street signs. Imagine his bewilderment when he sees Kevin Barry Street where he expected to find Castle Hill Street. When he thinks he's in Barrack Street, he's in Mackin Street.
Girls, could either of you tell me where James Connolly Street is?
No.
Well, do you know where William Street is?
Yes.
Yes.
Fight. Up in Fight.
Well, now, do you know that William Street is James Connolly Street?
No, I don't.
Did you know that?
No.
You never heard that in your life?
I don't think so.
There are many other such examples in Wexford. Consider some of the street names conceived by the council in the 1920s. Partridge Street, McSweeney Street, Harper's Lane. The local people still call these streets what they were always called. Lower King Street, High Street, Cinema Lane, to name but a few.
Could you tell me where James Connolly Street is?
William Street.
William Street.
Excuse me.
It's up this end.
James Connolly Street.
William Street, yeah.
It's known as William Street.
Well, James Connolly Street is the name of the street, but it's usually called William Street by townspeople.
That's what you call it.
Well, I'm a post office clerk, you see.
Oh, I see.
Oddly enough, one street escaped the council's reforming zeal. It's called Kaiser Street.
Kaiser Street, yes. Kaiser Street is the second oldest street in Wexford. And the most peculiar thing about that Kaiser Street, there's Kaisers in Limerick, Drogheda, Cork, Waterford, Dublin, and here in Wexford. And these streets, they led down to the quaysides. Well, it so happened that nobody seemed to know the meaning of this word Kaiser.
Yes.
The chairman of the old Wexford Society, Dr. George Haddon, he knew it was a Norse word, Saga Norse. So he wrote to the King of Norway and he asked the King, what was the meaning of this word Kaiser? He had a very courteous reply from the King who told him that the meaning of this word Kaiser was ship. It was Ship Street, or the way down to the shipping wharfs. You see, all so simple as that. So that's Kaiser Street.
And this is the reason why it wasn't changed.
That's why it wasn't changed.
Mr. Sammy Coe is a guide for the old Wexford Society.
The old names are not on the streets.
That's right.
And you have, for instance, now, Henrietta Street, which is O'Hanrahan Street. If you look at the nameplate, you will see it's O'Hanrahan Street.
Mm-hmm.
But the tourist is rather confused. He comes along and sees O'Hanrahan Street on it, and they're looking for Henrietta Street.
Well, but this is the puzzling thing. How do they come to be looking for streets by their old names rather than by their new names?
Well, you see, they have a guide book, you see, and a map of the town. And these guides are done with the old names.
Really?
You see, you get Henrietta Street, you get Ann Street, you get Colbert Street, you get all these streets, and they're all with the old with the new names on them, you see.
Yes, on the street
On the
plates.
street plates.
But can you tell me why the guidebooks still have the old names?
Well, that is very hard to understand because in 1932 there was a plebiscite taken here in the town, and they wanted to have the streets renamed, you see.
The council?
The council wanted the streets renamed. But the old people still call them by their old name. And whether the rising generation will adhere to the new name, it still remains to be seen. So the new names are up on the walls, whilst the old names are used.
The people have been deplorably unpatriotic by sticking to some of these old names, aren't they?
The people don't take any notice one way or another of the names, you see, and I'm sure the rising generation will eventually come around to the new name.
Could you tell me where James Connolly Street is?
James Connolly Street?
Aye.
Connolly Street. You ever tell them on?
Do you know where William Street is?
Yes. You're in the town here.
Well, William Street, I mean, according to this bit of paper here, I'm just wondering this. William Street is James Connolly Street. Did you know that?
No, I don't know that.
Some of the new names have caught on. For example, Pierce Street has completely replaced Talbot Street in popular usage. And nobody ever thinks of Ram Street now. It's Skeffington Street. Of course, the Wexford Corporation loyally uses all the new names in its official correspondence. Luckily, the post office officials are familiar with both old and new names, so everybody gets their rate notices in good time.
Well, do you know where High Street is? Are you a native of the place at all? How do you know your way home if you don't know the names of the streets?
I know my own street.
Sorry?
I know my own street.
Oh, you do? Good.